thanks for watching the video. If you could do me and the channel a favor, hop down to the comment section and let me know what decks you guys want me to make next. And while you're down there, if you could drop a like and subscribe, it'd help out a lot. With that being said, enjoy the video and have a great day. What is up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we are going over a Venomoth deck list. Now, Venomoth is a very different Pokemon with Perplexing Powder, which is the primary attack that we're going to be using in this deck. It's a lot like Budew, where it gets that item lock, but it also is going to confuse your opponent's active, and it deals 30 damage base versus Budew's 10. Now, one of the downsides of Venomoth is that it is a Stage 1 Pokemon, so it takes a touch to get out. But I've had tons of fun with this card personally, and I put together a deck here that I'm really enjoying. So going right off, we got a 4-4 line of Venonat and Venomoth. It has 90 HP. We already talked about Perplexing Powder, and it has a 1 retreat cost. Now it also has Speed Wing for 1 grass and 2 colorless, deals 90 damage, but we really don't see that attack used. It's just too much of an energy commitment for not enough gain. As for other Pokemon in this deck, we do have 2 copies of the Budew, so those first earlier turns when we haven't set up a Venomoth, because it is still Stage 1, we do have the Budew in here for that itchy pollen. It also acts as a free retreat Pokemon. So we just kind of can Budew lock our opponent until we can get the Venomoth in there for a slightly more effective version of Budew. Then we have a 3-3 line of Snorunt and Froslass in here for its Freezing Shroud, which during Pokemon Checkup put 1 damage counter on each Pokemon that has an ability except for Froslass. So all of your opponent's support Pokemon effectively, sometimes their attacker, are going to be slowly getting these damage counters piled up on top of them during each Pokemon checkout. So it's kind of like everything is poisoned, but obviously if you have more than 1 Froslass in play, it's doing much more damage, and that adds up over time, especially when Froslass is dealing damage to our own Munkidori, which we do have 2 copies in here for. The Adrena Brain ability, which if it has a Dark attached, you can move 3 damage counters from one of our Pokemon to one of our opponent's Pokemon. More times than not, that's going to be off of our Munkidoris, who will be taking damage from Froslass. Venomoth itself is a pretty spongy, or not a very spongy Pokemon. It only has 90 HP. So most of the time this is getting 1-hit KO'd, and we don't really have to worry about Munkidoring off of that. So the Munkidori is really just in here to pair with Froslass and get damage boosts that way. And I really like the Venomoth instead of just the straight Budew deck, is because that added confusion can really just lock our opponent down, especially with the build that I have here personally, which will take us into trainers. We got 1 copy of Rescue Board for resets. More times than not, this goes on a Froslass. 1 copy of Lana's Aid for some recovery. You get to put 3 in any combination of Pokemon without a rule box, which is all of our Pokemon, and basic energy cards from the discard pile to our hand. So really nice recovery. 1 copy Professor's Research as a hand reset. 1 copy Super Rod as a little bit more recovery. 2 copies of Artazon, which lets you search your deck for a basic Pokemon without a rule box and put it right onto your bench. The reason we run Artazon is because we don't have we don't have Nest Balls, so that's the only way we can find our Munkidoris here. So that's why we have the Artazon in here. Also just to act as a stadium bump as well. 2 copies of Earthen Vessel to find not only our grass for attacking, but also our darkness for our Munkidori to use their ability. 2 copies of Ultra Ball, searching for which of our Pokemon. 4 copies of Iono. 2 copies of Night Stretcher. Just, again, this deck plays plenty of recovery. You know, our attacking Pokemon are super low HP, so we want to make sure we can get them back. 1 copy of Counter Catcher, so if we go behind on prizes, which our opponent will typically be able to find a knockout before we do, then we can just Counter Catcher something up and hopefully trap them that way. 1 copy of Colress Tenacity to search for a Stadium and an Energy card. 1 copy of Pokemon League Headquarters is the last Stadium in this deck. Attacks used by each basic Pokemon in play cost 1 more. So while that does make our Budew not free and make it so if we want to use Mind Bend, it does cost 1 more. More times than not, we only will play this if we have an established enough board that we know we're going to be using our Venomoth, which is a Stage 1. So this can really slow down our opponent, especially in matchups like Raging Bolt. Then 3 copies of Boss's Orders. So 3 copy Boss and 1 copy of Counter Catcher so we can really trap our opponent and let that Froslass damage hike up there, because we do play 2 copies of Gravity Gemstone. So this is where the deck gets a little bit different than a lot of other lists. We're looking to slap a Gravity Gemstone onto a Venomoth and just trap one of our opponent's support Pokemon or something that can't attack. And we can boss it up or counter catcher it, and we can pivot what our opponent is trying to use and really try and control the board that way. Whereas I looked at Little Dark Fury's list, and he played Neutralization Zone and not anything with Gravity Gemstone or anything like that. It was just the straight let's attack with Venomoth and hope the Neutralization Zone sticks. He also only played 1 Munkidori, and so I wanted to change it up a little bit and go for a more control-esque, where we're not just looking for that stadium to stick. We really want to mess up our opponent and just etch away at them. So I did go with the Gravity Gemstone here. 4 copies of Buddy-Buddy Poffin, because everything except Munkidori is searchable by it. So that's our setup. 4 copies of Arven to find an item and a tool. And then our ace spec for the deck is going to be Hyper Aroma to search our deck for 3 Stage 1 Pokemon. So obviously that would be our Froslass and Venomoths. As for energy, it is 6 grass to make sure we can use Venomoth's attacks, 2 copies of Darkness for those Munkidoris, and then 1 Luminous. So the Luminous energy here can act as either a dark or either as a grass for a Venomoth if we need to get the attack off. It can act as a dark for our Genabrain if we have to, or it can work as a psychic so we can use Mind Bend, or it can even work as a water for the Frost Smash. But most of the time it's either going to be put on a Munkidori, or in really bad situations we're going to be forced to stick it onto Venomoth. So a little bit of flexibility with that 1 Luminous. I do only play the 1 Luminous because most of the times we're finding our stuff with Earthen Vessels, but that Colress Tenacity can find it for us. And that's the 60, so go ahead, hop into some play tests here, and maybe we'll even get a few concessions, because people do not like playing against this kind of deck, so we'll just hop right into that here. Alright, going ahead, hopping into our play test here for our Venomoth deck. Now, I feel like this deck would prefer to go second, which you might be thinking, well, Venomoth's is stage 1, Froslass is stage 1. Yes, but this deck is very supporter heavy, and we have that Budew, so I feel like we would actually prefer to be going second, so we can hopefully get them under Budew item lock nice and quick, as well as be able to use a bunch of our supporters. And it does look our opponent is going to go first, which we're okay with. Dark type sleeves. I don't love any of the cards. We're going to go Snorunt here. Unfortunately, this is kind of a terrible hand. I mean, tons of basics, but not much that we can do other than just attach pass here. We'll see what we top deck. Ideal top deck is Arven for Buddy Poffin Rescue Board. Okay, Brute Bonnet. So is this going to be, I don't know, I don't even know, maybe Cloth? Does Roaring Moon play? No, they don't play Brute Bonnet. What is this deck? Is this just a Brute Bonnet deck? I'm not even sure. Does Roaring Moon play? Because they got the booster capsules, so they can obviously use Brute Bonnet, but then they have Dark Energy as well. It's definitely some kind of dark deck. I'm curious, what are we going to see off this Ultra Ball here? I feel like I should know what this is, and I'm like being an idiot. I take it we're just going to see a Squawk here, I imagine. Okay, so it is Roaring Moon. Alright. I'm not totally crazy. It's just a Roaring Moon Brute Bonnet deck. Which, that Brute Bonnet having a 3 retreat cost is not going to do them any favors. They do unfortunately get to poison us, so as soon as either a Perilous Jungle or a Radiant Sneasler. Yeah, Radiant Sneasler comes into play. Yeah, see, Ultra Ball. I guess. Nah, that's just not worth it. Ultra Ball for Budew. They only have 2 cards in hand. We would have to exploit all of our resources. And it's just not worth it. So. Hopefully it's not double Dark Patch in their hand. But. Yeah, I mean. They're just gonna probably attach pass, right? Oh, they have Explorer's Guidance. So they're gonna get to see a few more cards here. Hopefully not going for the Budew lock doesn't bite me too hard. They only take 1? Oh wait, no. Oh, take 2, right? Yeah, put 2 cards into their hand. Okay. There's Pokestop, so if they hit anything off of this, then the items are going to come to play. They do Earthen Vessel, so they're down to an empty hand other than energy and whatever this Pokestop hits for them. But yeah, we definitely got just a downright awful hand. Unfortunately, they get Nest Ball and another Vessel, which honestly is okay. We know 2 of their cards in their hand are also Dark Energies, so something tells me they're just going to use the Nest Ball here for another Pokemon, and their hand's going to consist of 3 energy. Oh, did they discard one, or did they only choose to grab one? Maybe they only play the 9 energy. That actually makes sense. They probably only play the 9. They must be debating using that Nest Ball for something. Which tells me they don't know what Venomoth does. They do go ahead and use it. For just another Roaring Moon. Now, unfortunately, the only thing that they have in play with an ability is Brute Bonnet, which I imagine they're not going to be playing much else. Toxic Powder doesn't do anything. Our Snorunt was already poisoned. Since they're actually piling energy onto this Brute Bonnet, we're probably going to want to boss up one of those Roaring Moons so they can't start attacking. And it looks like that's definitely what we're going to do. I think we're going to spin it first, because there's just, this hand is so dead, and I am not here for it. I would not love this Snorunt to die to poison, and we just throw everything away. So, not in that great of a position. Definitely doing this, and passing the turn. Unfortunately, despite us hitting it for weakness, we're only still dealing 60 damage, which is not a lot. So, since we're just kind of throwing everything away here, we're not really going to get to display what this deck can do. We lost our rescue board there, so now we just have to wait till this Snorunt dies. Or attach retreat, obviously, but... And they Pokestop away their Radiant Sneasler, but I'm sure they have multiple Night Stretchers. They get a Trekking Shoes though, so even having not been able to get this item lock in play, thankfully our opponent did have to exert their hand. And they just pass. They don't choose to use the Trekking Shoes, which is fine because once again we have nothing. We'll risk it again. We can't get that unlucky, right? Alright, well, it wasn't terrible. We've been in worse. I think we're actually fine doing this. Yeah, definitely. So is it attach pass, or is it attach retreat, get them under item lock? I think that's actually going to be the play, as opposed to using our Munkidori here. Go ahead, Perplexing Powder. Start being able to do something in this game, as well as trapping that Trekking Shoes in their hand. hopefully for the rest of the game, because they don't have access to switches now. So they would need attach Sada just to retreat, which is really nice. And they can't use dark patches anymore either. They do get the first attachment to their Roaring Moon. And they spin the Pokestop away 2 Sadas. We like that. We like that a lot. And Arven would be nice to see, be able to get a Hyper Aroma as well as one of those Gravity Gemstones. Oh my gosh, look at that. Finally. Oh, and Hyper Aroma is prized. I should have known at this point. Okay. Is it going to be Buddy Poffin then? What do we got in here? Froslass is in the discard. But again, those Brute Bonnets aren't like top priority. I guess we'll just, yeah, we'll go Night Stretcher, right? Yeah, we'll get 1 Froslass going here. We could get the other one if we go ahead and I think we'll just evolve here. But whatever, we get the Gravity Gemstone. We're able to Munkidori some damage off of our Snorunt, which is nice. And we're going to start piling up on their Roaring Moon, I think. We're not going to go for the Pokestop. We're not going to go for the second Froslass. Just do the 1 for now. Keep hitting them, keeping them under that item lock. And that Freezing Shroud is going to put a time clock on those Brute Bonnets. Now, only having the 1 in play, it's a very slow time clock. They have 6 turns. But, yeah, they're down to 4 cards in hand, item lock. They need attached Sada just in order. I mean, they get Nest Ball Trekking Shoes, but since they're going to be under item lock, that Pokestop really just mills them away. So it might be a game by deck out if we can't get the knockouts in time, which at this rate, I think we're going to be fine. But I don't know, they're down to 17. Our opponent just passes. We said they played 9, right? So they are out of energy right now. Yeah. Should we get that other one down? I don't think so. We'll be fine. We'll just heal this guy right here. Actually, I should probably be putting that. So yeah, 60 damage still does not kill. Or knock out, excuse me. So now this next turn, instead of knocking out the Roaring Moon EX with Venomoth, we're going to boss the other Roaring Moon to start chipping away at that. Because I think they only play 9 energy. In which case they would need access to Dark Patch and Sadas. And they just keep going for that Pokestop. I don't know what they're hoping for here. Maybe they're trying to find their Night Stretchers, hoping they'll be able to use them, which they won't. The only thing that really can save them at this point is going to be a Lana's Aid, which I doubt they play. There's even another Froslass, so we can just start hiking up the damage here. 40-40, yeah. We'll just put it on the active here. Go ahead and boss that other one, keeping them nice and locked down. Flexing Powder again. So, I mean, this is just, it shows how this deck can kind of really, really hurt someone. It looks like they were powering that up so they could retreat it. Maybe attack with it, but I assume they were powering it up to retreat with it. And then they'd be able to have access to Sadas and Dark Patches and whatnot. But right now they have all their energy in play and they're just slowly dying to Froslass Munkidori. And the Venomoth hitting for weakness is just making it go a little bit quicker. But it'd still be functioning the same. If anything, we would be in a better position because we wouldn't have had to, use that boss's orders there to keep their energy stale. And they just spin the Pokestop again. At this rate, they're going to deck themselves out. They're just hoping they can find some kind of out. But there's really nothing that Pokestop can find for them. It's just items, which Venomoth is keeping them from playing. Our opponent passes it on back, unable to do anything. Double Freezing Shroud now, dealing a little more damage. And the turn remains the same. I mean, we'll go ahead. I think, yeah, we're fine to take knockout. So there. Take our first 2 prizes. And this is where it all falls apart for them. There's that Hyper Aroma now that we don't need it. Don't really need to do anything else here. Go for the Perplexing. Froslass is dealing damage over. Dealing damage back, taking out that one Brute Bonnet. When it's coming back, it'll take it out. And that Future Capsule just bought them a turn or 2 more. I mean, they're hoping for Sadas. They've already lost 2 of them to the Pokestop. So, unless they're in those 8 cards or in the prize, if they're in those 8 cards or in their hand, then they'll be able to do stuff. There goes one more. I mean, that Pokestop is only hurting them here. They probably recognize the time clock and are hoping to thin and just praying not to hit Sadas on the Pokestop. Which, I mean, you're just a couple turns away from not being able to do anything. There's the knockout on Brute Bonnet. There's a Budew. We're actually going to go ahead and bench him, even though I don't see any threats up and coming. Do we have another monkey in here? We do. So, Night Stretcher for monkey. But I have no way to get energy, and I'm not going to push it. Because Ionoing them would just get them farther away from deck out. Go ahead and put it over here. Because they're actually only 1 energy away from attacking with that Brute Bonnet there. So normally that would have been knockout right there on the active. But they did put that capsule on it. So, I mean, they're just clinging on to hope here. But there is nothing they can do. Even if they just top decked that last Sada, the most they can do is still pass. Unless they have an energy in their hand that they've just been holding on to. And there's the Explorer's Guidance. So, we just win. We could win by attack. We could win by just passing it back to them. Whatever. Because that Explorer's Guidance is going to mill them to 0. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to take our prize cards. Which would be, it'll be as simple as hitting the attack button. There's no sense in doing a ton more. That's just bad manner. So, it says they're selecting cards from their deck. Something tells me it's just gonna say that they did not take action in time. Yep. And there go the last Dark Patches, which have been useless the whole game, because that item lock is just too powerful. Go ahead, bench a Baby Moon, which, again, it's not going to do anything for them. They're just looking for some way they can stay in this game, it seems like. Or they're just wasting our time intentionally. Yeah, they ended their turn. Brute Bonnet gets knocked out by Froslass for 1 prize card. Roaring Moon gets knocked out by Venomoth for the last. Go ahead, Perplexing Powder for 60 damage to end the game. So, I mean, functionally, it works the same as some of the more commonly looked at Budew decks. I know for the win TCG, I believe he did a Budew list that was very similar to this, like in concept. Obviously, Little Dark Fury did a very similar deck to this, just like with the Venomoths, but not the Gravity Gemstone control kind of aspect of it. So, I mean, there you go. That's the list. It was kind of tooth and nail to make one that I was really comfortable with. One thing that didn't help is all of my playtests and all that are all done in ranked. So I hope you guys had a good time watching. I hope this list is satisfactory, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Comment down below what kind of decks you guys want to see next, and like, and make sure you hit that subscribe button.